Back on the record, this is the people of State of Colorado versus James Egan Holmes, case number 12 CR 1522. The record should reflect that Mr. Holmes is present with his attorneys and the prosecutors are present as well. We're outside the presence of the jury. Ms. Brady, we asked the jurors about staying late, and there are multiple jurors who indicated that they either can't or don't want to. So that's why we're taking a shortened break and hoping that we can get started here right away and you can get all your witnesses done, okay? Thank you. All right. Are the parties ready for the jury? Yes. Okay. Let's bring them in, please. Please be seated, everyone. The record should reflect that the jury's back in the courtroom. Ms. Brady, call your next witness, please, or Ms. Higgs.
Your Honor, we would call Lori Godwin, please.
Come around this way, please. Good afternoon. Could I have you raise your right hand so that I can administer an oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please be seated. Tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names, please.
Lori Villarreal Godwin. LORI-VILLARREAL GODWIN.
You may proceed, Ms. Higgs.
Ms. Godwin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like, you used to be a teacher at Westview High School, correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. What time period was that?
I believe it was from 2001 or 2. I opened the school, so we were released early. Mm-hmm. I believe it's 2002 to January 2005.
Okay. What classes did you teach?
I was department chair of special education.
Okay. Now, you also were involved in some of the coaching of sports, is that right?
Yes, I was a cross country and track coach.
Okay. Did you have a student, did you know a student by the name of James Holmes?
Yes, Jimmy? Mhm.
Yeah. Do you recognize him here sitting with us?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How did you know him?
I just know him from the cross-country team.
What year was he on your cross-country team?
The very first year we started.
So what year would he have been in high school?
It was been his freshman year, so I want to say it was 2002. I'm sorry, I don't remember. 2002, 2001,
Okay.
3. Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that, but I just want to ask you a couple questions about Westview. You said you opened the school.
Mm-hmm.
The jury's already heard about how the school was kind of opening at that time, and you just started with the freshman and sophomore class?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. When it first opened, it's a pretty large complex. Was it full up?
Oh, no. No.
Okay.
No. We were at maybe a quarter capacity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was it intended, or was it an academically rigorous school?
Absolutely. Yeah, Poway Unified is well known for their APIs, academic rigors, but Westview was definitely the highest.
Okay. When you say Poway Unified, that's in the county of San Diego?
Yes, it is.
All right. Was it athletically a rigorous or competitive school?
No, it was not.
Okay.
No.
But yet it had a pretty big sports complex.
It did. We were provided a lot of money to provide that, and our sports area was mainly built up for CIF so that we could host CIF sports. The other schools, they didn't put the money into the athletics because of that.
What's CIF?
California Federation, it's like state. It's the second level of state. If you move on to athletics, if your team moves on.
Okay. Did the school eventually become competitive in some of the sports?
Yes, cross country did.
Okay. Let's talk about that first year of cross country at Westview. When did the season start and end?
I began it in early June to start recruiting runners, and we ended the week of Thanksgiving.
So it started before the school year began?
Yes.
Okay. How do students come to you?
I recruit.
How?
I had a few come because I was coaching at Mount Carmel High School. That was in our sister neighborhood. And a few came with me. I was an assistant coach at that time. And I just asked them to bring other people. It didn't matter if they could run or not. We just needed a team.
What was your goal that year for the cross-country team?
Build a family.
Okay. Tell the jury how you did that, why you did that. What do you mean by build a family with your team?
When the teachers were selected to open up the school, we realized how rigorous the academics would be. And we had a lot of pressure with teachers as well to make sure that the school we developed would actually be successful. With it, we needed athletics, and we needed to start sports, and we had a very limited amount of students and teachers. We had a skeleton crew. I started cross-country as my love, and the cross-country team I had in Mount Carmel was mainly made up of students that were higher academic rigor, so I knew I could probably get this successful. So my main point of doing that is having somewhere where everyone could be a part of. At the other site, the students that weren't part of any clubs would hang out at 7-Eleven, and some problems could arise. And I didn't want to see that, because I would see that when I took the kids on runs. And so everyone was allowed to join.
So when you came to Westview, you didn't care if they could run or not?
Many could not run, no.
Okay.
No.
Your goal wasn't to win states that year?
Oh, no. No, we could not compete with the bigger schools. No.
How did Mr. Holmes come to your team?
I don't remember.
He just showed up?
Yeah, he was there one day.
Okay. And was that in June, before the school year started, in the summer?
I'm sorry, I can't recall when he came.
Okay. Was it sometime before the school year started?
I believe so, because not very many came after school started.
Did you have some kind of open house kind of in the summer, or the school did and people could sign up, or
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, we had, at one of the elementary schools, we couldn't get on the campus yet.
Uh-huh.
And so at the elementary site, they allowed us to, it was open enrollment, basically. You didn't have to go because you lived in a neighborhood, because it was going to be a 4x4. And so you could come if you wanted to, but you didn't have to.
What's a 4x4?
4x4 is an accelerated program where you can graduate in 3 years instead of 4.
Oh, okay.
And it's to get students ready for college, so a full year of school will be done in 1 semester.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Mr. Holmes on your cross-country team, okay? Can you tell me how often each week you would do practices with the students and how long those practices were?
5 days a week,
Okay.
and then Saturdays we have meets.
Okay.
I'd have activities after school to get them together. I'd pasta parties. Sometimes the kids met to go to the movies, just trying to build up, a group.
Okay. And so this was over the period of at least 4, 5, 6 months?
Yes.
Okay. Is there, was he a good runner?
He didn't stand out to me at all.
Okay. How would you describe him as a runner?
He didn't have the runner's run. He didn't have the stance. He didn't have the stamina
Okay.
that I could probably have worked with for that sport.
Did he keep showing up anyway?
Yes, he did.
Okay. When you would go to meets, where would he come in the group of kids?
Everyone sat in circles, but he wasn't part of the group. He wasn't bullied or anything. He just was kind of a shadow kind of figure.
Okay. I think I didn't ask a good question. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what you just said. But my question was when people were running a race, when the kids are running a race,
Oh, okay.
first through last, where would he come in?
Most likely in the last.
Okay. And that wasn't a concern to you because you weren't worried that year?
I was just concerned that they come back to the finish line. That's it.
Okay. How did he react to being last all the time? Was it a problem for him?
No.
Ever a poor loser?
No.
Would still come up and show up and run the next time?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You talked about him being a little bit of a shadow person, I think was what you said. So let's talk about what you remember with regard to Mr. Holmes on a social level with your team. Did he stand out as different?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tell the jury a little bit about that.
He was always on the outside. It was more of a shadow. If I didn't take roll, I probably wouldn't have even known he was there.
Mm-hmm.
And the team was not large, and there was a lot of showboating, and he just was there. I developed really good relationships with most of the students, actually all of them, of my runners for that first year because we were so small, and their parents. I had nicknames for every one of them. Unfortunately, I didn't have one for Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
I never got to know him.
Did you try?
I probably did, and it probably didn't go over well because most kids are like, "Oh, that's cute," and there wasn't a lot of interaction between us, even though I attempted.
At the beginning, when you first had him there, and you said it was important to you to develop relationships with the kids on your team, did you try to talk to him?
Oh, absolutely.
And how did he respond when you tried to do that?
Very quiet, very, very quiet, eyes down, head down. Basically, I can see you, but please don't talk to me.
Did he seem uncomfortable with you trying to speak with him?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Did you have some other students that were, you said there were some showboaters, right? Is that a yes?
Yeah, yes, that's
Okay.
it. Yes.
Mr. Holmes was not like that at all with you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
I would imagine there were also some other kids that were not showboaters, but on the quieter side.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anyone as quiet as James Holmes?
Yes, I did have some quiet ones, but one-on-one, like if they didn't want to run that day, they would stay with me, and we'd have a conversation, and it was quite lovely.
Okay. So he was even different from those students?
Yes, he was.
Okay. You said he was not a showboater. Would you describe him at all as a kid who would try to draw attention to himself?
Oh, no. He didn't like any attention to him at all. He stood away from the group close enough where he could hear me giving instructions, but kind of in his own little world. He didn't want to be, he was part of us, but not part of us.
Okay. Your Honor, if I may approach with D-TR-224, please?
Yes.
Thank you. If you can take a look at this and let me know if you recognize what it is.
Oh, it's our very first cross-country photo.
Is that a photo that you had taken, I think, for the yearbook?
Yearbook, and also to place on the wall as one of our very first cross-country teams.
Was that taken sort of at the end of the season?
It was taken probably October, November.
Okay. So Mr. Holmes would have been running with that group for a number of months at that point in time. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to give you a marker and have you circle on there Mr. Holmes, James Holmes. And does that kind of accurately reflect the team that you had that year?
In terms of how many people? Or?
Yeah, how many people, the students that were there. That's the actual photo you had taken, right?
Yeah, there were some that joined the very last moment, like last month, and I see them here too.
Okay. Your Honor, I move for the introduction of this photograph.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, D-TR-224 is admitted and you may publish it.
This photo was taken, I guess, on the beach there in Southern California.
Yes.
That you laying on the bottom.
The biggest showboater, I guess. Yeah. That's me.
Now, in this, when it lists all the names of the students, it lists Coach as Lori Aminette.
Yes.
Is that your maiden name?
Actually, I was married at the time. I was Coach Ammo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And if you can just tell us, describe for us, I know you've circled it on the photo that's been introduced, but can you describe for us where where James Holmes is in this photo?
The top row, looking directly at it, the left, the second one.
Okay. Did you have to take this photo a couple times to get it right?
We did.
Okay. Can you tell the jury about how that happened? What happened?
When we took pictures, he didn't really want to be in them. As you can see, he's kind of putting himself, he didn't want to be close to anyone, and you can see we kind of like touch shoulders and whatnot. And he would stand back or he'd stand straight like this. And we moved people around. The two girls next to him, I placed there because of their, they were very mellow and quiet and so on. And
did you try to do that to make him feel a little bit more comfortable?
Yes, and honestly, I was getting charged by the hour for the photographer, so I said, we got to do something. And I believe I was probably pretty stern with him to get into that photo, please.
Okay. So you had to take a couple photos before where he was even further away from the group?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did it appear to you that he was further away from the group because he was sort of uncomfortable socially?
Yeah, he wasn't a close sitter person.
Okay.
No.
And even here in this photo, a lot of students are smiling. Do you see him smiling?
I never saw Jimmy smile.
Okay. Thank you. We can take that down. So I want to talk to you about some ways that we could describe the Jimmy that you knew, James Holmes, okay? Would you say that he was sort of more detached than the other students?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Now, when you found that he was sort of uncomfortable when you tried to talk to him, did you kind of let that be?
Yes.
You didn't keep forcing it?
Well, I always try to talk to everyone,
Right.
but it was almost like painful.
For him?
Yeah, and probably to me too after a while, because I just wasn't, I get along with everyone and talk to everyone, and it just wasn't working out. And he was not a problem. He showed up and that's all I wanted, so I let it be.
Okay. You didn't want to push him further away,
No, there's no reason to.
make him more uncomfortable?
I want him to come every day.
Okay. You said he was sort of a shadow being. Can you describe that a little bit more for the jury?
I didn't have a nickname for him. He didn't speak a lot. He didn't, a lot of the kids did a lot of crazy, like the boys would take off and run down into the canyon, and they would find like a car, and they would be pirates, and, you know, it's like, okay, guys, I know you're not running. And he'd be with them, but he wasn't with them. He wasn't like laughing and so on, and I had to ask kids to make sure he came back, because I didn't know if he was listening to me or not.
Okay. Did the other kids have any problems with him, or did he have
No.
he never had any problems with them?
No.
Never saw him be mean to anybody?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Would you say that if you spoke with him, he would sometimes respond?
Yeah, like, yeah, I hear you, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he didn't initiate any conversation with you?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
No.
Did he nonetheless do everything you asked him to do?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Did he, was he always respectful?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And he never caused any problems, is that right?
No, he wasn't one of my problem. Yeah,
Okay.
one of my boys.
And you did have some problem boys, other kids, right?
Oh, they were bad kids. They were just boys.
Okay. You said that you did some social things for your team to kind of foster that family spirit.
I did.
One of the things I think you mentioned was pasta parties.
The spaghetti party.
Okay.
Yeah, pre-race spaghetti party.
Did James Holmes ever attend one of those?
He did.
Was it just once?
I can remember once.
Okay.
Like I said, it was a shadow.
Right. Tell me how this pasta party occurs. What do you do for the kids, and how do you get them involved with each other?
I have a large backyard, and so we throw out tables, you know, the long white tables, these buffets and so on, and the parents would throw down a clean cloth, and I would grab, the parents all come out, someone would have pasta, someone would have the meat, someone would have sauce, and we just throw it across the table, and the kids just went at it with bread and no forks, nothing, and just kind of talked, and you can imagine how they looked at the end of the day, but it was a lot of fun. It kind of just brought down barriers, you know, so that we can keep moving along as a team.
The time that James Holmes came, how did he act in that social situation?
He sat.
Did he dive into the table with the
Oh, no.
pasta?
No.
Did he continue to stand sort of on the outside of the group?
Yeah, I have a fence that I had two parts of my property, and he kind of just stood back here and watched. And I'd see him, you know, like, you know, look at the kids, because they were trying to, because I told the kids to get everyone involved, and primarily him.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell he's trying to make friends. But, no.
Had a hard time.
Well, it's very intimate, the pasta parties, as far as hands, and people were putting on each other's faces and stuff, so yeah.
Okay. He didn't get involved in that at all?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions for you. The prosecution may.
Any cross-examination?
Yes, sir. Sorry, Chair. Good afternoon. So would you say that the high school was an academic, rigorous environment for
Absolutely.
students? Were most of the students there pretty smart?
Yes, yes.
In fact, when you were speaking to the defense investigators in this case, did you describe the defendant as, quote, crazy smart?
That's what the kids told me.
Okay. And what was your interaction with him? Did he appear to be intelligent when you interacted with him?
Honestly, I thought that there might be a learning disability because he would not speak with me, and it seemed like he was always off in his own world doing his own thing. And so I asked the kids if they can make sure that he came, because I was department chair of special ed, but he wasn't on any of my caseload files. And they assured me that he was crazy smart, that don't worry about him, coach. He's not, doesn't have any type of learning disability. So it kind of just shocked me because, like I said, he was always in his own little world.
So if I showed you a transcript that showed that he had straight A's, Would you believe it?
I don't see why I wouldn't.
Now, the defendant was never bullied by any of the other students when he
No.
was there. He was never violent with any of the other students
No.
while he was there. And given your concern that you showed for the defendant, did you ever sit him down and say, hey, I want you to know you can talk to me anytime. I'm here. If you need me to find you a counselor, I'll take you to a counselor. Did you ever say that to him?
At the time I knew him, I did not
If you could just
have...
answer yes or no if you
No.
referred him to a
I
counselor.
don't remember.
Do you recall reaching out to a counselor at the school and saying, hey, you really need to talk to this kid? He's really a loner. He's really by himself. Yes or
We
no,
did
please?
have, yes.
You did? And was there a counselor at the school that then met with him?
I can't say that, I don't know.
Okay. And did you, when his parents came to either a meet or a practice, did you have an opportunity to talk to his parents and say, hey, you really got to do something for your son? Just yes or no?
No.
Okay. And the last time you saw the defendant or had any contact with him was approximately 13 years ago?
Yes.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
No further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Is there any redirect, Ms. Hughes? Okay.
The prosecutor just asked you about speaking to a counselor at the school. You had counselors at the school?
Yes, we did.
And it sounded like you wanted to add something else and explain something. What is it that you talked to the counselor about?
We wanted to make sure that all the students that went there, it was going to be like a learning environment, more of a learning academy, and that every student had some type of either a club or whatnot. And so we were supposed to let counselors know if somebody wasn't, involved in anything. And although he was on my team, he still wasn't a team in the team. So I just spoke to the counselor at that time and just said, wasn't sure if he had a learning disability or whatnot, and my concerns that way.
Okay. Did you have a lot of opportunity to speak to parents at the meets? I mean, is that something you would have done?
I was the only coach.
Okay.
No.
Do you know if his parents attended some of the meets?
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah, we had a high turnout for parents, but I can't say I spoke to them.
Okay. If I can just have 1 second.
Sure.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Do you have any redirect?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
The jury may have a question for you. Give us a moment, please. Thank you. Would counsel please approach? May Ms. Godwin be released from her subpoena, Ms. Higgs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection? Thank you. Call your next witness, please.
Your Honor, we call Claire Vincent.
come around this way, please? Right here. Good afternoon. Could I have you raise your right hand, please, so that I can administer an oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please proceed. Could you please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names?
Claire Ann Vincent, ClareAnnVincent.
Ms. Higgs, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for being patient. Miss Vincent, where do you live?
And Salinas, California.
Okay. What neighborhood do you live in there? And
It's called Oak Hills.
okay, the jury's heard a little bit about this neighborhood already. Is that sort of in near the San Jose or San Francisco area, about an hour south?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you lived there?
40 years.
Goodness. And what do you do for a living?
I'm a private piano teacher and also an organist.
Have you, how long have you been teaching piano?
Oh, I think I started in the 70s sometime, and we moved to Oak Hills in 74.
Okay. Did you continue to teach piano when you were at Oak Hills?
Oh, yes.
And how did students come to you? Were they from the neighborhood, from the school? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, we lived in an area that had a lot of young families, and it was pretty much word of mouth, although I was a member of the Music Teachers Association also.
How many students would you say you've had over the years? Can you even count?
I don't know. I'm sure it's over 100 or more.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall having a student by the name of James Holmes?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you see him here in the courtroom with us?
Yes.
How many years do you recall that he was a student with you?
I think it was about 3.5 years.
Do you remember his general age range at that time?
Well, I would say 9, 10, probably.
Okay. If I can approach with D-TR-225 and D-TR-226.
You may.
And if you could look at these, Miss Vincent, and let me know if you recognize who's in those photos.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Are those in fact taken in your home?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd move for admission of these photographs.
Any objection, Mr. Orman?
Your Honor, I don't object.
All right. D-TR-225 and 226 are admitted and may be published.
If we can have 698. Great, thank you. Can you describe this photo and where it is?
It was in my studio, and we were playing a duet.
And when you say we, is that yourself and James Holmes?
Yes,
And how did you know him? By what name?
Jimmy.
Okay. Did you do all your piano teaching out of your home?
Yes.
Okay. If we can also just take a look at 667, which is D-TR-225. The other photograph that we have here that the jury can take a look at, is that also a picture of the student that you had by the name of Jimmy? I can show it to you. Sitting at your piano in your home.
Yes.
And in that picture, he has glasses on. Was that, he was a little bit older in that photo?
I presume so. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now, Miss Vincent, one of the things that you do as part of being a piano teacher, do you do recitals? Have the students do recitals?
Yes, we usually have one at Christmas time and one in the spring or June.
Where did you hold those?
At that time, they were held in my home.
Do you do them somewhere else now, or?
Christmas ones we do at a church.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you did one usually in December and then maybe like in the June time frame, is that fair?
Yes, uh-huh.
When you do these recitals, do you put together like a program?
Yes, I have programs.
And do the parents come to your home for those?
Yes.
Now, do you keep all the programs that you have?
Yes, I do. I'm very sentimental.
Okay. So you make kind of like a scrapbook?
Yes.
I'm going to, if I can approach with, this is going to be D-TR-227, D-TR-228, and D-TR-229.
You may.
Thank you. And if I could have you take a look at these and tell me if you recognize those.
Yes.
Are those programs from 1997, right?
Yeah, one was 1998 and I think 97
And then if I can approach with D-TR-230.
You may.
Thank you. And if you can take a look at this one, is that the program from 1999, the June 1999 recital?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, we would move for the introduction of these exhibits.
Any objection, Mr. Orman?
I don't object, Your Honor.
All right, D-TR-227, 228, 229, and 230 are admitted and may be published.
Ms. Vincent, when you look at those programs, is Jimmy Holmes mentioned in those programs?
Yes.
And it tells you what songs he played over the course of those 3 years?
Right, yes.
Can you tell from what those particular songs are sort of the progression of his skills as a young pianist?
Yes, I think he came as a beginner, and then by the time he was in his third year, he was doing some little more difficult things.
Was he a student that always practiced?
As I recall.
I know it was
But he
quite...
did progress, so that shows he was practicing.
Okay. I do recognize that it was a long time ago. If I can approach with the last exhibit for Ms. Vincent, which is D-TR-231.
Yes.
And if you can take a look at that, Ms. Vincent. Is that a note that Jimmy's mom, Mr. Holmes' mom, wrote to you?
Yes, uh-huh.
And do you recall when that was from?
I think it was right before they were planning to move.
Okay. Thanking you for your work with him?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Uh-huh.
Did you...
Sorry, hold on. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. When he left, do you recall how you felt about losing him as a student?
I was disappointed because he was a good student and I thought he had potential, and we always hate to lose good students, and I remember regretting that they were moving.
Okay. Do you remember that his parents came to all his recitals?
I really don't remember that well on that, but I know they were involved.
Okay. And this was a lovely note that Ms. Holmes sent you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, we would move for introduction of this last exhibit.
Is there any objection, Mr. Orman?
I don't object, Your Honor.
All right, without objection, it is admitted and may be published.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Ms. Vincent.
Mr. Orman, do you have any cross-examination?
May I do it from here? It's going to be brief, Your Honor.
Yes.
Ma'am, I just have a few questions for you. My name's Rich Orman. I'm one of the DAs. on this case. I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. The last time you saw the defendant before today would have been, except maybe on TV or something, 16 years ago about?
Probably 1999.
And then this being 2015, does that I'm really bad at math, but does that add up to 16?
I think so.
And that means about 13 years before the killings in the theater, right?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Yes.
Overruled.
Thank you. I don't have anything further, Your Honor. Thank you, ma'am.
Do you have any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
And the jury does not appear to have any questions for Ms. Vincent. May Ms. Vincent be released from her subpoena?
She may.
Is there any objection?
Of course not, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Vincent, thank you. You can leave those exhibits there.
Oh,
Ms. Higgs will take them.
if I may.
You may. Thank you. Thank you. Call your next witness, please, Ms. Higgs.
We call Sandy Becker. Excuse me.
Come around this way, please. There you go. Could I have you raise your right hand so that I can administer an oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please be seated. Could you please tell us your full name and please spell your first, middle, and last names?
Sandra Becker. And did you say spell it?
Please.
Sandrarbecker.
Good afternoon. Oh, I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Becker, I'm sorry. Can you pull the microphone closer to you so we can all hear you, please? There you go. Thank you. All right, Ms. Higgs, you may proceed.
You know, I left a marker up there if I can approach to
Yes.
grab it. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mrs. Becker, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a ton of questions for you, but I want to have you talk to the jury about the neighborhood that you lived in with the Holmes family. Do you recall them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And this was some time ago. Do you remember what years it was that they lived in your neighborhood?
I believe from 88 to, and then they left right when Jim was going into second grade. I don't know what year that was.
When you say Jim, are you referring to James
To
Holmes?
Jimmy, yes.
This young man sitting over here at a council table with us?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to have you describe for the jury kind of what that neighborhood was like.
Well, it was a very family-oriented neighborhood, and our block was the same. Lots of kids on it, and of all different ages, and they all hung out together. Lots of organized activities going on amongst the families.
Okay. Did you guys do kind of block parties on holidays and things
Yes.
like that?
Yeah. Annual 4th of July, different holidays, and lots of birthday parties. The kids had participated in talent show at school, so they would prepare for that. The adults, the men played softball, the girls, the women, the mothers got together and celebrated birthdays, and just the kids were always outside playing.
Okay. So it's a kind of a really community environment.
Yeah, very much so.
Did that give you a lot of opportunity to interact with all your neighbors?
Yes.
Do you feel that you, at that time, knew the Holmes family pretty well?
I think so, yes, yeah.
Did you have kids kind of similar in age to their children?
Yes, my son is James' age or grade.
Okay. And did he and Mr. Holmes play together with the other kids in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Were there times that your son would go over to maybe the Holmes house,
Yes.
or
They would,
they would come over to each other's homes?
they would go to several houses. There was a band of them, about 6 boys, and they would go from home to home, hang outside, play inside and outside.
I'm going to, if I can approach with D-TR-235.
Yes.
And if you can take a look at that and let me know if you recognize that.
I do.
Is that kind of part of this band of kids that would go playing around your neighborhood?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And do you recognize where that photo was taken? Was it in one of the homes in that neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. And if we can move for introduction of this exhibit, please.
Any objection, Ms. Pearson?
No, Your Honor.
Without objection, D-TR-235 is admitted, and Ms. Hicks, you may publish it if you wish.
710. Can you see it there on your screen?
Uh-huh.
And which little boy is the boy you knew as Jimmy?
The second one in from this side.
The one looking up at the camera?
Yes.
Okay. If I can also approach with D-TR-234 and 236.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. And if you could take a look at these photos and let me know if you recognize these as well.
I do.
Are those photos from some of the group activities of the families in the
Yes,
neighborhood?
they are. One is the 4th of July party that people set up things in front of their houses. There were several houses involved in it. We would block off the street, so that's one of them. And the other one is one of the many birthday parties that happened around the neighborhood.
Okay. And that second one is your husband in that photo
Yes.
with the short shorts? Okay. I would move for introduction of these two pictures, please.
Any objection, Ms. Pearson?
No objection.
Without objection, D-TR-234 and 236 are admitted and may be published.
And if we can have 716, please. So this is a photograph in the neighborhood? Yes?
Yes, that's the 4th of July, one of the 4th of July parties.
Okay. Do you recognize everyone in that photo as being from the neighborhood?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Is it fair to say that everybody in the neighborhood sort of helped look out after all the kids and after each other?
I would say that, yes.
Okay. If we can have 711. And this is, that's your husband there in the blue shorts?
It is.
Okay. This was some years ago. It's fair. And the young boy that's on his right side holding his hand, is that the boy you knew as Jimmy Holmes?
Yes.
Okay. In your experience with the Holmes family in that neighborhood, can you describe how they were as parents?
They were as involved as anybody else, helped organize the different activities and participated in them all. So I would say they were just like
all the rest of you?
just like the rest of us. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that how would you describe James Holmes as a kid in that neighborhood?
One of the kids that hung out with all the other kids.
Okay. And they were all kind of good kids?
Yeah.
Did you ever see any problems with him, any problem behavior or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Did he seem to have a good relationship with his parents at that point in time?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Now, during that period of time, did you cared about the Holmes family as you did with everybody in the neighborhood, is that right?
Sure.
And you've had some contact with them in the years since. Not a lot, but some. Is that fair?
Since they moved?
Yeah, yes.
Very, very little.
Okay. Would you say, though, that you still have, you still care a little bit about this family?
Of course.
Yeah. Would you say that with regard to this group of kids in the neighborhood that James Holmes was part of that group or on the outside of that group?
It was part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Pearson, do you have any cross-examination?
Just one question. Ma'am, you haven't seen the defendant since he was in the first grade, is that correct?
I think I saw him once in high school, but that was it.
Okay. And you recalled talking with the defense and discussing the fact that you didn't have any contact with his family once they moved away?
Yes.
Is there any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
And the jury does not appear to have any questions. May Ms. Becker be released from her subpoena?
Yes, she may. Thank you.
Any objection, Ms. Pearson?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Call your next witness, please, Ms. Brady.
Maurice Scruggs.
Come around this way, please. Good afternoon. Could I have you raise your right hand so that I can administer an oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names.
Maurice Anthony Scruggs, Maurice Anthony Scruggs.
Ms. Brady, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. Can you please tell the jury what you do for a living?
I'm a teacher at a high school, teach history and English.
What high school, which high school is it that you teach at?
Westview High School in the Poway School District in San Diego.
Okay. Did you ever have a student by the name of James Holmes?
Yes,
And do you recognize him here in the courtroom,
yes,
seated at council table with us?
yes.
Can you please tell the jury approximately what year it was and what you were teaching and how you came to meet Mr. Holmes?
He was in my class 2 years, different years. 1 year in 2004, 2005 in an AP European history class, and in 2005, 2006 in a class that combined AP US history and honors American literature.
And when you say AP, what does that mean?
Advanced placement, students take a college level class while in high school and then take a test at the end of the year, and if they pass the test, they can get college credit.
Okay. And so you said European history and American...
US history and American literature.
All right. Was Mr. Holmes in those two classes with you?
Yes.
Can you please tell the jury what you remember about Mr. Holmes?
It's been so long, honestly, not a whole lot. He was a very good student. When his name showed up in the news, I went back and double-checked because I recognized the name. So I looked and confirmed my memory, which was that he had A's in all of those subjects, that he was pretty quiet and soft-spoken, and I'm sure I would remember if there had been any behavioral problems. So those are really my memories.
Okay. And you say that you had him for two classes. Would those have been 2 full school years, or how much time are we talking?
2 full school years.
All right. The fact that you don't have a lot of recollection about him, does that mean anything to you?
It's a little unusual. I'm still Facebook friends with one of the students who was in his class his junior year. Some of the students I interacted with a lot more personally, but it's not that unusual. I mean, some students I talk to more casually than others, and a little less so in his case.
If he had been any sort of a problem in your class, do you think you would remember that?
Yes.
And if he had interacted with you a lot, do you think that you would remember him?
Yes, I would.
All right. But what you do remember is that he was very quiet.
Quiet, good student, positive.
Okay. Anything you remember about him being rude or arrogant or mean or anything like that?
No.
Do you remember him being polite and respectful?
Yes, I would remember if he were not.
Do you ever recall, whether he would participate openly in class or volunteer information? Do you have any recollection of that?
That's a little vague, but to the best of my recollection, he was one of those people who would respond when asked, but wouldn't volunteer often.
Okay. Do you ever remember him showing up dressed strangely or having strange hair or anything to draw attention to himself?
Nothing that I remember.
Did you know anything about him outside of class?
No.
Was there an opportunity at one point for you to write a letter of recommendation for Mr. Holmes?
Yes, near the end of his junior year in high school.
Your Honor, if I can approach with D-TR-237.
Yes.
Sir, can you take a look at that and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, I wrote this.
And what is the date on that letter?
March 30th, 2006.
Would that have been during the time where you were teaching Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Your Honor, we would move for the admission of that exhibit.
Is there any objection, Mr. Edson?
No objection.
All right, without objection, D-TR-237 is admitted and may be published.
Your Honor, can I have Mr. Scruggs read the letter to the jury?
That's fine.
Thank you. Go ahead,
Right.
Mr. Scruggs, please.
To whom it may concern, if I were to write a recommendation to a university for James Holmes, I would mention that he is not only bright and hardworking, he is also able to work independently, to take initiative, to explore, and to discover on his own. James is genuinely curious. He takes pleasure in the process of discovery. He is also a clear, thoughtful writer. He doesn't just follow the lead of others. As a teacher, I try to judge the quality of thinking, not just my agreement on the subject. In fact, it can be exciting to...
Let me interject for just a moment. My court reporter is taking everything down.
Oh, slow down a little?
Slow down just a little bit,
Okay.
okay? Sorry. I apologize.
Would you like me to repeat anything?
Yeah, why don't you start with the last sentence that you started, and then try to read it a little bit slower.
All right. He doesn't just follow the lead of others. As a teacher, I try to judge the quality of thinking, not just my agreement on the subject. In fact, it can be exciting to see a creative, thoughtful interpretation with which I disagree. This happened with James quite often. He was always stretching the bounds of his knowledge, always willing to look again with fresh eyes. I did not always agree with him, but I always respected his thinking. I know that this description sounds almost too good to be true, but James is worthy of praise. I have the good fortune to work with many such intelligent students. Since this recommendation is for a summer internship, though, I can be even more enthusiastic. James is a lot of fun. He has an odd but very entertaining sense of humor. Just as his analyses are unique and creative, so are his insights into the world around him. He has an incredibly mature ability to see the absurdity around him, yet he can work around that absurdity and still be productive. I like to work with people who are competent and conscientious. If they are also fun and creative, work can become a real pleasure. James is the sort of person I would enjoy working with. If you should choose him, you will get more than just an intelligent worker, as valuable as that can be. You will get a companion to enjoy. Therefore, I can recommend James with great enthusiasm. Enjoy him and put him to work. Sincerely, Maurice Scruggs.
Thank you, Mr. Scruggs. I don't have any further questions.
Is there any cross-examination, Mr. Edson?
Your Honor, a couple of questions. Can I ask them from here, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Scruggs.
Hi.
Hi, just a couple of quick questions. Knowing that you teach advanced placement courses, I'm guessing this wasn't the first time you ever prepared a letter of recommendation for a student.
Not at all.
Fair to say that you probably do that on a fairly regular basis.
Many years, 40 at a time.
Did you ever recall seeing the defendant ever in a science lab doing any sort of science projects, anything like that?
No, but that's unlikely that I would have had the opportunity. I teach in the humanities.
Finally, fair to say the last time you would have seen the defendant would have been around 2006 when you last had him in class, is that correct?
With any regularity, I might have seen him at graduation. I always attend that, but other than that, yes.
But overall, your general memories of the defendant are pretty vague, is that fair?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Is there any redirect?
No, thank you.
And there does not appear to be a question from the jury. May this witness be released from his subpoena?
Yes. Thank you.
Is there any objection, Mr. Edson?
No objection.
All right, sir, thank you. You can give that back to Ms. Brady. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Brady, you may call your next witness, please.
J. Posteraro.
Good afternoon. Could I have you raise your right hand for me, please, so that I can administer an oath? You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names.
My name is James Gerard Posteraro, James Posteraro.
Ms. Brady, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell the jury what you do for a living?
I am a middle school band director.
And where is it that you teach?
Mesa Verde Middle School in the Poway Unified School District outside of San Diego.
And how long have you worked for the Poway School District?
I will be starting my 22nd year this coming school year.
All right. Did you ever have a band student by the name of James Holmes?
Yes, I did.
And do you recognize him here at council table with us?
Yes, I do.
In San Diego or in the Poway School District at that time, what were the grades that comprised middle school?
It's 6th through 8th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and it's the way it is now.
Okay. And did you have Mr. Holmes in band for all 3 years?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about what you observed about Mr. Holmes and what kind of a student he was when you were his teacher?
Absolutely. I had James for Mr. Holmes' 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and he was a trumpet student in my band class. He was always, if I thought of him as a person, just very respectful. Always said hello and goodbye when he came into the classroom. Not all students did that, and it was always a good way to start the day and a good way to end the day. I'm in a unique situation where if students are in band for all 3 years, I get to have them all 3 years, and so I really got to, I get to know my students very well. And again, he was a hard worker, good trumpet player, and turned in his work and never gave me any trouble. It was just he was a good boy at the time.
All right. Did he ever cause any trouble in any of your classes?
Not at all.
Did any of the other students ever have any trouble with him?
Not that I know of, at least not in my classroom. I can't speak to outside of my class, but in my class, I never had any problems.
All right. Did you ever have to send him to the office or call his parents or anything like that?
No, I did not.
Okay. As a band teacher, did you have concerts put on by your band students?
Yes, I did, a minimum of 3 per year.
Okay. And were students also graded for their participation in band
Yes.
music?
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, if I can approach with D-TR-238, 239, 240, 241, and 242, please.
You may.
Thank you.
Have a minute on this, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, I don't object to 238, but I object to 239, 240, 241, and 242 as containing hearsay statements.
All right. She hasn't moved their admission yet, so we'll wait.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Didn't mean to jump the gun.
That's all right.
If I can approach the
You may.
witness. Thank you. Sir, if I can ask you about 239, 240, 241, and 242.
Okay?
Do you recognize those documents?
Yes.
Are those things that the Mesa Verde School District keeps in the regular course of their business?
Yes.
Do you do that for each student?
Yes, we do this for all students.
And were those done close in time to when Mr. Holmes went to school there?
Yes.
And do you recognize your name on all 4 of those documents?
Yes.
And do you believe those to be reliable documents based on when Mr. Holmes was in school there?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, I would move for the admission of those 4 exhibits.
All right, can I see those, please? Would counsel please approach? All right, the objection is sustained, but Ms. Brady, you may proceed.
Sir, regarding 239, 240, 241, and 242, do you know where those documents came from?
They would have been documents I would have, the easiest way to explain it is, at the time, some of these are computerized and one is not. We would have entered them into a grading program, and then it would have been submitted to our office and then moved on to the district. I believe that's somewhat the protocol.
And do you recall the time when you still did the handwritten, where
Yeah,
you would
when
write
I
in
saw
the
that,
grade?
I was like, that brought me way back. Yes,
And do you know whether those came from Mesa Verde?
absolutely.
Is there anything on there that makes you think they did not come from Mesa Verde School District?
Oh, it looks like it's all Mesa Verde.
Does anything on there look suspicious, like it was altered or changed or is not authentic?
Not that I can tell.
Do you recognize some of the other names of teachers on there?
Yes,
Are those in fact teachers who taught at Mesa Verde?
yes.
Your Honor, I would again move for the admission of those 4 exhibits.
All right, Mr. Orman, with that additional foundation, is there any objection?
I maintain my objection, Your Honor.
All right, the objection is overruled at this time, and the exhibits are admitted. That's D-TR-239, 240, 241, and 242, and they may be published.
I think what I'll do, sir, is if you can just tell the jury, what are those 4 documents?
The documents I'm looking at are either progress notices or actual end of grading reports.
And does it have Mr. Holmes's grade for your class on all 4 of those documents?
Just double check. Yes.
And what grade did he receive?
He received either some form of an A for his actual grade in class, and then outstanding citizenship grades and outstanding effort grades, meaning he turned in his work and he was prepared every day.
All right. If he had been a problem in your class, would he have gotten the outstanding citizenship
No.
grade? Okay. The other exhibit that you have up there, I believe it's 238, is that right?
Yes.
And I believe there was no objection to the admission of that one?
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you moving into admission?
I am, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, without objection, it is admitted and it may be published.
Sir, can you just explain to the jury what 238 is?
I'm looking at a concert program that he participated in from 2002. I believe it was his 8th grade year, end of the year concert.
Okay, and is Mr. Holmes's name listed on the program?
Yes, it is.
What is his name listed as?
It's listed as Jimmy Holmes, James Holmes.
And can you explain to the jury why it's listed that way?
Well, one of the things I do, I teach a few hundred students every year, and I get about 150 to 200 new 6th graders. And so for me to help remember their names, I give them nicknames. And I know if I went down the alphabet and or through the list of names, and I asked a student their name, for example, my name is James, I would ask, do you like to go by James or Jimmy or something else, because I go by Jay. And I know at the time he must have told me James, and that's how I made the reference of the James Holmes, because that would help me remember his name.
All right, and is the Holmes, James Holmes, like from the...
Bond, James Bond.
Okay.
Yes, that's how I remembered it. And I do that with most of my students to help remember their names.
Okay, so that was the way you remembered his name?
Yes.
Okay. So in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, did Mr. Holmes seem to fit in with the other kids in your class?
Yes.
Did he ever appear to be sort of on the outside of the group?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. When Mr. Holmes was in your class for those 3 years, did you care about him?
Yes.
And how long has it been since you've seen him?
I haven't seen him since the end of 8th grade.
Okay. And do you continue to care and support him?
Of course.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Orman, do you have any cross-examination? Okay. And the jury the jury may have a question for you, sir, so give us a moment, please. Thank you. Would counsel please approach? Sir, the jury has submitted 3 questions that, based on the rules of evidence and other applicable rules of law, I have determined are appropriate. The first question is, did he interact with you other than to say hello and goodbye?
Yes, there would have been occasion, whether it be for testing or doing things in class that required him to play for me as a musician, that kind of thing.
The next question is, did he have any unusual mannerisms?
No.
And the last question is, did you ever meet Mr. Holmes's parents?
Yes, I would have met them at concerts or seen them at concerts. Most of the parents, they show up and they'll come down and say, nice job after the concert.
Are there any follow-up questions, Ms. Brady? Any follow-up questions, Mr. Orman?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, thank you. May he be released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Any objection, Mr. Orman? That's okay. All right. Thanks.
Shall I do?
Just give those back to Ms. Brady,
Thank
please,
you.
and she'll set them on the table there. Thank you. Ms. Brady, you may call your next witness.
William Reese.
Good afternoon. Could you please raise your right hand so that I can administer an oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please be seated. Please tell us your full name for the record and spell your first, middle, and last names.
William Tyler Reese, William Tylerreese.
Ms. Brady, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell the jury what you do for a living?
I am a student and an Uber driver at the moment.
And where are you a student at?
CSU Long Beach.
And that's in California?
Yeah, California State University, Long Beach.
All right. And do you know someone by the name of James Holmes?
I do.
And do you recognize him here at council table with us?
I do.
Can you please tell the jury how you know Mr. Holmes?
We went to middle school and high school together, and we used to eat lunch quite often, every day, for a few years.
Where did you go to middle school?
Mesa Verde Middle School.
And where did you go to high school?
Westview High School.
Are both of those in sort of the San Diego, California area?
Yes, they are.
All right. If you would tell us approximately how old you guys would have been at that time and how you got to know Mr. Holmes.
I would say between the ages of 12 or 13 to 16.
All right. And how did you meet Mr. Holmes?
I don't really recall.
All right. But you guys were at the same school?
Yes.
And how did you know him at that time? Did he go by James or Jimmy or?
Jimmy.
Jimmy?
Yeah.
What would you guys do as friends? First, let's talk about middle school. What sort of things did you guys do together as friends?
We pretty much just spent lunch together, hung out. Nothing too crazy.
Right. Did you have other friends that you guys would have lunch with?
Yes.
How many?
There was about 5 of us in our group.
All right. Would you consider your group of friends an outgoing group?
No, we're pretty quiet guys. I think that's why we got along so well.
All right. And other than having lunch together, would you do other things together?
Occasionally we'd go and see movies or go paintballing.
Okay. Anything else you can recall?
Not to my knowledge, no. I can't recall anything right now.
What kind of a young boy was Jimmy Holmes when you knew him?
Pretty similar to me, I felt like, in a lot of ways.
How so?
Intelligent, quiet, pretty much kept to ourselves, but yeah, that's, I don't know, that's kind of a tough one.
Okay. In high school, did any of you guys have girlfriends?
No.
Did you guys play sports?
Yes, we did.
All right. And do you remember what sports Mr. Holmes played?
Soccer and cross country.
And did you play sports?
I did.
Did you play on the same teams as Mr. Holmes or no?
No, we didn't. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever go over to his house?
I don't believe I did, no.
And did he ever go over to your house?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Other than maybe movies or paintball, do you recall doing anything else with him outside of school?
I'm sure we did, but I don't have any specific recollection of that at the moment.
Okay. Would you have described Mr. Holmes at that time as a social guy?
In our group, yes.
What about outside your group?
No, I don't think any of us in our group were too outwardly social.
All right, so within your group, you guys would sort of stay together, but outside the group, you didn't interact very much?
No, not too much, no.
Okay. Did you ever see Mr. Holmes get angry or mad?
No.
Did you ever see him be mean to anyone or rude or disrespectful?
No.
Did you ever know him to get in any kind of trouble at all?
No.
When was the last time that you saw him?
Maybe first or second year in college, the summer after first or second year.
Okay. Would you have seen him on break or something?
Yeah, most likely.
Okay. You guys did not go to the same college, right?
No, we did not.
So you knew him middle school through high school?
Yes.
Okay. Back during that time in middle school and high school, did you consider him your friend?
Yes.
Anything else you can think of? Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Do the people have any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
And the jury does not appear to have any questions for Mr. Reese. May Mr. Reese be released from his subpoena.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Call your next witness, please, Ms. Brady.
Thank you.
Or Ms. Higgs.
Kevin Wright.
Come around this way, please. If I could have you raise your right hand for me so that I can administer an oath. Do you solemnly swear or affirm on the penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Okay, please be seated. Could you please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names?
Kevin Craig Wright, KevinCraigWright.
Ms. Higgs, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Wright. Did you, for a number of years, were you a counselor at a camp called Camp Max Strauss?
Yes, I was.
Where is that located?
It's in Glendale, California. or La Crescenta.
Can you spell that?
It's Lacrescenta.
Is that in sort of the LA area,
Yes.
Los Angeles area?
Yes, on the foothills.
Okay. How long did you work as a counselor at that camp?
I was there off and on since like 2006 to about 2011.
Okay. One of the years that you were there, or one of the summers that you were there, was James Holmes also a camp counselor there?
Yes.
And do you recognize him sitting over here at the table with us?
Yes.
Okay. Before we talk about that, I want to kind of let the jury know what Camp Max Strauss is, okay? Tell me about the kinds of kids that would come to Camp Max Strauss.
We brought in about 120 children from the inner city, from socially, economically disadvantaged children. We served, every session had 120 kids. We had about 10 sessions throughout the summer, 7 to 10 sessions.
Okay. How long would the kids come stay at the camp?
Some stayed 5 days, some would stay 10 days.
And are they staying overnight?
Yes.
Okay. What kinds of things would you all do with the kids there at Camp Max Strauss?
We had archery, swimming, horseback riding, hiking. We would do skits. And we put on like a little theater production with the kids. Lots of activities.
Were you just a camp counselor all those years, or did you get promoted?
I was the head camp counselor.
A head camp
Yes.
counselor?
Yeah, the year I worked with James.
Okay. What is the head camp counselor? What are your responsibilities? Excuse me.
In charge for the health and safety of both the staff and the kids, making sure that we pair up the right staff with the right kids, and just making sure that this summer runs smoothly as possible.
Okay. What are the duties then of just the camp counselor? You were a camp counselor for how long before you became head camp counselor?
For about a year.
Okay. What do the counselors do? What are their responsibilities with the kids?
While daily routines, making sure they get up on time, making sure they have their teeth brushed and all cleaned up, ready for breakfast, making sure they get to all the activities on time, making sure they, all the meals, making sure they're in bed by a certain time, making sure they have all the right stuff that they need for that special activity that they're going to do.
Okay. What age range of children are we talking about at this camp?
From 7 to 12.
Okay. Do the counselors sleep in the same cabin with the kids? They're with them 24/7?
Yes.
Okay. I want to, if I may approach with some photographs which are D-TR-243 to 250.
Yes.
And actually it's a CD, a disc, D-TR-251. And if you could just take a look through these photos and let me know if you recognize those.
Yes. Do you want to explain each
Yeah, just
picture?
kind of flip through them.
Yes.
Are those all photographs of Camp Max Strauss?
Yes.
Do they sort of accurately reflect what that camp was like during those years that you were there?
Yes.
Okay. And if I would move for admission of these photographs at this time?
Mr. Orman, do you have any objection?
Not the photographs, Your Honor.
All right. Without objection, they are admitted. That's D-TR-243 to 250.
I can grab those from you. Thanks.
And they may be published.
Thank you, Your Honor. And if you can take a look at that disc that I put up there, did you have an opportunity to view that disc earlier today?
Yes.
And did you initial it to indicate that you did that?
Yes.
Does that disc sort of give a feel for the day in the life of a camp counselor at Camp Max Strauss?
Yes.
Is that reflective of what the camp was like when Mr. Holmes was there as a counselor with you?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would move for admission of that video.
Mr. Orman?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. My name's Rich Orman. I'm one of the DAs. I'm going to ask you a few questions about that video.
Okay.
Do you know what year that video was produced?
No, I don't.
Do you know if it was produced before or after the defendant was a counselor at the camp?
After.
After.
It seems like it's after.
So he was, 2009, is that about right, when he was a counselor?
Yes.
So this would have been, 2010 or 20, what? Do you know?
I don't
2011, 2012?
I don't know.
Now, do you know who produced the video?
No.
Do you know who filmed the video?
No.
When you watch the video, it appears that people are sort of reacting to something that the person recording it is saying. Would you agree with that?
Not necessarily.
Do you know if the scenes in the video or any of the scenes in the video were staged or put on especially for the person recording it?
No.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Your Honor, I object on the grounds of foundation and relevance.
All right, will counsel please approach?
Certainly. Wright, I understand that you don't know when this video was taken and you were not involved in the producing of this video. Is that fair?
Yes.
Do you see on the video the same types of activities that were available to the students when Mr. Holmes was there and when you were working there with him?
Yes.
Does it accurately reflect what types of activities the counselors would engage in with the kids?
Yes.
From that time, similar to that time when Mr. Holmes was there?
Yes.
Does it accurately reflect the activities that the kids would engage in?
Yes.
And generally, does it give you a good, accurate picture of what camp was like during the time period that you worked there with Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Your Honor, we would move for admission of this video, this short video clip.
Mr. Orman?
I no longer object, Your Honor.
Okay, without objection, then it is admitted. That's D-TR-251.
Okay.
And it may be published.
Thank you. If we can start with the photographs to give the jury a feel of what this camp is like in general, and then we will show the video with regard to the specific activities and such. If we can start with 526, please. So this is, can you just, as we go through these, describe for the jury what this photo is?
This is the very front of the camp where you walk in.
Okay. And this camp itself was large in acreage, is that right?
Yes.
Like 112 acres?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. But
Yeah, they're having a hard time hearing you, sir.
yeah.
Having a hard time hearing you, so speak right into the microphone, please, if you will.
You are soft-spoken, so if you could speak up a little bit, I'd appreciate it. But the cabins and the buildings are all sort of placed together in proximity to each other on the acreage of the camp. Is that right?
Yes, while the boys is on up on the hill and the girls is on the lower side, but for the most part, they're all close together.
See, I'm sorry, one of the jurors needs a break. It's almost 5, but if a break is needed right now, then we'll take a break. But that'll mean that we'll probably have to go past 5, so. Well, we would if we don't take a break. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, you may proceed.
And if we could then move to 532, please. Is this kind of a picture of one of the cabins?
Yes.
That was not what I thought was. If we could look at 537, I'm just going to show a couple of these for the jury. All right, our numbers are off. Okay. Okay. And what is this area at the camp?
This is our fire circle. This is where we meet at before every meal.
Okay.
And when the whole camp got together, would be where we would meet at.
Okay. And I'm going to try to get the story out of here by 5 o'clock. So let me ask you this. When the camp counselors would get up in the morning with their kids, they would come to the fire circle first thing in the morning? Like all the kids and all the counselors?
Yes.
Okay. And then they would go off on their separate activities?
Yes.
And then come back for lunch?
Correct.
Go off on separate activities?
Yes.
Come back for dinner and then do full camp activities in the evening, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were kind of, as the head camp counselor when Mr. Holmes was there, involved in all different aspects of that?
Right.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Holmes when he was there, okay? How would you describe him generally as his demeanor in the camp as a counselor?
He was more reserved to himself. He was, I would say, quiet, shy. We would try and encourage him to, interact with the kids a little bit more.
Okay.
But there was never no issues or anything like that.
He was never a problem?
No.
Did you place him with a counselor in his dorm that was sort of more outgoing to balance that shyness?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I think you've also said, though, that even though he was shy, he provided a good addition to the team because you were looking for people with different types of personalities to work in the camp at the same time. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Was he, and I believe one of the things that you said was that he was able to relate to, like the shy kids were able to relate to him because he was shy, and that was kind of why he was a good addition to the team.
Yes.
Okay. How else would you describe him? Was he funny?
Yeah, he had like a goofy behavior that was, he was quiet, so when he did interact with the kids, it kind of stood out more than other counselors would.
Okay.
But he would like have some goofy behaviors. I don't remember anything specifically, but.
And when he was goofy, was it just a little bit more goofy because he was such a quiet guy?
Right.
Did he make the kids laugh, though?
Yes.
How did he interact with the kids? Was he good with the kids?
Yes.
Okay. And did he participate in all the different activities and the skits and all of that stuff with the kids?
Yes.
Can it be stressful working with these children that you bring into this camp?
Very.
Okay. It is not an easy cakewalk of a job.
Right.
Could it be easy for someone to get frustrated with some of these children and their behaviors?
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. Holmes act in frustration with any of these kids?
No.
Did you ever have any concerns? And I just want the jury to be clear. You were head camp counselor directly over Mr. Holmes, is that right?
Yes.
So you were his boss?
Yes.
Okay. And you would have been responsible for monitoring him and helping him and reviewing his work with the kids?
Yes.
Did you ever have any concern with him working at the camp?
No, I mean just besides encouraging him to be like more
Outgoing.
with the kids and.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have any? If we can just briefly play this video in the last couple minutes. I think it's only about a minute long, so the jury can get a feel for what kinds of activities you all were engaged in the camp.
I don't object as long as I have about a minute for cross-examination.
Yes.
You can show that.
Your Honor, if I could approach with D-TR-251. If you
Yes.
can,
I don't object to the admission of it, Your Honor.
I think it's 251, did you say? 251 was the disc, and that's been admitted already.
then I should make it D-TR-252.
All right, are you moving it to admission?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Without objection, it is admitted.
And if we could publish, if we can start with number 540, the group photo. So this was previously introduced. Is this a group photo taken from that year?
Yes.
And that's Mr. Holmes that's circled there in red?
Yes.
And are you in here?
Yes.
Which one are you?
Down on the bottom in the middle with the dark green shirt.
And the sunglasses?
Yes.
Okay. And then if we can publish, it's number 539. And this is a photo of some of the camp counselors from that summer as well?
Yes.
And how many camp counselors, this wasn't all of them, this was just some of them?
Yeah.
All right. And is that Mr. Holmes there, I guess sort of with his hand up to his face?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wright. I don't have any further questions at this time.
Mr. Orman?
Sir, is this a paid job to be a camp counselor?
I'm sorry?
You get paid to be a camp counselor at Camp Maxwell?
Yes.
Not a volunteer job?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Do you have any redirect?
Did you get paid a lot?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Do you have any recross, Mr. Orman?
What was the pay? Do you remember back then?
No, I don't remember. It was, yeah. I think it was like, it might have been like around 200 for the week.
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, and the jury does not appear to have any questions. May this witness be released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, members of the jury, we're going to adjourn for the day. It's just about 2 minutes after 5, so I thank you for your patience. Please make sure you follow all my advisements overnight. All of the advisements I've been giving you throughout the trial apply, and they apply to all of you. So make sure that you please follow each and every one of them, okay? They're all extremely important. I'll see you tomorrow morning at the usual time, 8:40. Thank you. The record should reflect the jury has exited the courtroom. Everyone may be seated. Is there anything we need to talk about at this time for either party of the people? Mr. Brockler, do you have anything?
We might know more tomorrow. I've been in discussions with Miss Brady about sort of the timing of everything. And there was some suggestion that the defense may be done with their portion of Phase 2 perhaps as early as Tuesday of next week. I know that instantly you've added 2 days to that, but I mean that's sort of the guess that the defense has. That being the case, especially with the court's order about turning PowerPoints over for the argument and whatnot, I only ask that for the court to consider maybe we have some time set aside to finish up whatever instructions need to be done on Phase 2 and make sure that we're all on the same page so we don't interrupt the jury's flow on this.
Yeah, that's not a problem. How long do you think your evidence is going to take?
Your Honor, at this point, given what we've seen, we're not going to have anything to rebut any of this. A lot of it will be what the defense ends up doing with experts that they've endorsed and may call. They think they'll know more definitively tomorrow what that list will be whittled down to, and we'll probably have a better perspective either at the end of tomorrow or first thing on Monday.
Okay, and I just want to be clear. I appreciate you bringing this up so that we can plan in advance. I'm not adding 2 days automatically. What I don't want is another situation where we keep the jury waiting for hours, as we did the other day. It's happened a couple of times now where we're having discussions, lengthy discussions about PowerPoint presentations, and the jury's just waiting. So if you want to exchange PowerPoint presentations in advance, then we don't have to wait. If you want to do it with the idea that we're going to need some time to work on instructions, that's great, because we're going to have to take some time to work on instructions anyway. So if you want to use those 2 days as the 2 days, then that's fine as well. I just don't want to have the jury waiting for us, again, an hour or 2 hours before we proceed with any kind of argument. So if the case were to finish on Tuesday, at least in terms of phase 2, we could plan for perhaps Wednesday and maybe even possibly Thursday for instructions. It shouldn't take 2 days. I think 1 day should be enough, but you can plan your exchange of slides in accordance with that schedule. I agree that that's a good use of time.
And Your Honor, thank you for that. That, for me, the adding on 2 days was my poor attempt at highlighting something you'd picked up on earlier, which is we suck at figuring out how long it's going to take to do anything. So when we say, hey, we think we'll be done on Tuesday, I just figured you'd be like, okay, Tuesday probably means Thursday. So
I see.
I'm sorry about that.
I misunderstood. I thought you were referring to the 2 days for having a discussion about slides.
Not at all.
Okay, great. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I know you're both doing the best you can in terms of estimating, and I appreciate both sides doing that. And we'll see where we are. And if the defense finishes on Tuesday, then you can tell me if you are intending to put in any evidence. If they go beyond Tuesday, then that's fine, obviously, as well. So, Ms. Brady, anything that you want to say at this time with respect to scheduling?
No.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Brockler, that we need to talk about on behalf of the people? No? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. As soon as I say that, then, Lisa Teach McGuire.
Ms. Tish McGuire?
Thanks. I apologize, Your Honor, and I could address this with the court another time if the court wants, but I just wondered if the court could clarify some things about potential sentencing hearings in this case, so that we can plan in terms of making sure that we have victim impact statements ready. And there's just a couple of things I was wondering if the court could consider and maybe get back to us another day. But one of them would be who is permitted to do a victim impact statement in this case, if that would be only named count victims, or if anyone in Theater 9 or if anyone in Theater 8 would be permitted to do a victim impact statement in this case.
Are you referring to during the sentencing hearing in front of the jury, or are you referring to at the later sentencing hearing that I'm going to have?
I apologize, Your Honor. The later sentencing hearing that the court would maybe have. And with that, too, also considering that the people don't intend to put on all of the homicide family members who would be considered VRA victims under the law, but would like those people to have an opportunity to give a victim impact statement at the later sentencing hearing. And we're wondering if the court's going to find that permissible or not, so that we could try to protect their rights as well. So we were just wondering, for all of those reasons, if the court's already thought about that, so we could start planning for that.
Okay. Ms. Brady, do you have a position on that?
I feel confused. It's the...
This is related to the sentencing hearing that I have to hold later.
In front of the court.
In front of the court, not in front of the jury. So this is not related to the proceedings with the jury here. This is related to the sentencing hearing I'm going to have on all the other counts, and to formally sentence your client with respect to the counts that are before the jury.
And who can testify?
She's asking who can address the court through a victim impact statement. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor. And as you know, the law permits victims in Colorado to give both a written victim impact statement and an oral victim impact statement. So I don't know if the court's thought about limiting one of those or not the other, or if the court would permit everyone to do that as well.
Ms. Brady.
I have no position on that.
All right. My view is that people can do both, and I'm not going to limit you in terms of who can address the court at that hearing. And I'm not going to limit people either to a certain time frame. So as long as it's reasonable, I mean, we can't have someone repeating the same thing for 2 hours, but as long as it's reasonable, I'm not going to put any time limitations on anyone, and that goes for the defense as well. So I'm not putting any limitations on who can address the court. I'm not putting any limitations on how long they can take to address the court, as long as it's reasonable and as long as they follow my rules. Of course, you knew this was coming. I always have rules. Number one, they have to be professional. Everyone has to be professional, and it has to be consistent with the decorum in the courtroom. And number two, all comments have to be made to the court. So you cannot make comments to the other party directly. You cannot make comments to someone else. You can talk about someone else, but the comments have to be made to the court. Does that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
So as long as those rules are followed, and I'm not going to place any other limitations. And if it's a hearing, if the sentencing hearing takes half a day or 2 days or longer, so be it.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then to clarify about if we got to phase 3, victim impact testimony in phase 3, the court had issued an order pursuant to People's P83 about what the people were permitted to testify about in that phase, or to have our witnesses testify to in that phase. And the court had then also subsequently issued an order about the victim impact videos. In the court's order about the victim impact videos, you limited the people to 3 minutes of 30 photographs or less within the last 18 months of the victim's life. There was never any such ruling in regards to the other photographs the people had intended to admit through our witnesses who don't have videos. And so I just want to clarify for the court, are we allowed to use photographs that aren't a video that are outside the last 18 months of those victims' life? And are we limited in the number of photographs we can present if we're not presenting it in video form?
Well, the answer is that it depends on whether there's an objection or not. I've been ruling on objections, so if there's an objection, I'll hear the objection, I'll hear your response, and then I'll rule on it. But it's hard for me to say in a vacuum, this is the limit. I think you've seen the case law. I mean, this isn't just me coming up with some number. It's based on the case law. The case law tells me that I have to be careful with victim impact evidence. And of course, I've mentioned this before in my orders, the people have to be careful, and the people have to show self-restraint as well, because you could get to a situation where I find that the evidence, if we get to a phase 3, the evidence is overwhelming the jury, and I have to put a stop to it. And what that would do is that it would prevent certain witnesses from testifying, at least during the sentencing hearing in front of the jury, assuming that we even get to a phase 3. So I mentioned that in my orders before. Again, that's not me, that's the law, and I think both parties understand that. So probably the best thing to do would be to share with the defense what photographs you intend to introduce, have them review them, have them tell me what objections, if any, they have, and then I can rule after you respond.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Is there anything else on behalf of the people at this time? No. All right. Anything else on behalf of the defense at this time?
No.
Okay, great. Get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow morning. The court will be in recess. Thanks, everyone.